delay and the quantize function. As we are going to talk about quantize in a separate video, today only some examples you may already have deducted from the things we have been talking about for the last minutes. My sequencer is running at 120 BPM, so that one bar lasts 2000 milliseconds. One beat, what is one quarter note, lasts 500 milliseconds then. Let me at first switch off auto trigger. When I trigger the buffer in quantize mode using a trigger impulse every quarter note, we should hear the sequence during a period of a quarter note, followed by a period of stuck sound as long as a quarter note before the next trigger impulse arrives. Please remember the tutorial number 4, the second, about the buffer, for some more explanations. And now watch and listen what happens when I increase the delay offset up to 424 milliseconds. The period of stuck sound gets shorter and shorter to the advantage of the period of the running sequence until at last, at 424 milliseconds, there is no stuck sound anymore and we hear the original sequence as it is. Even if you don't like to follow all these figures and take them into account, you surely will have got the importance of this last example of increasing delay while CrusherX is working in quantize mode. You can easily change the rhythm of the track that way. A more detailed explanation of the mentioned figures, for example why 424 is such an important one, will be given in the tutorial about the quantize mode. One of my favorite occupations with CrusherX is looking for interesting sounds, drones and others, by searching a loaded sound in the buffer pretty much grain by grain. With that said, we have arrived at the fourth and last situation mentioned at the beginning. Let's listen and look to a short chord progression lasting 16 seconds. I switch auto off, the chord progression is in the buffer now. With a delay, I could scroll through the sound in the buffer, but I want to do something else. I'm going to modulate the delay using a modulation depth of 16,000 milliseconds and a modulation frequency of 0.06 Hz. The modulation mode shall be saw down. Let's compare CrusherX playing the buffer's content and my DAW playing the original chord progression. It's nearly identical. With some adjustments of the grain length and birth, we would get it completely identical, at least. CrusherX is working as a sampler right now. Let me explain the figures. The whole progression lasts 60 seconds, what is 60,000 milliseconds. We need a modulation depth of 60,000 milliseconds to scroll through the whole chord progression in the buffer. We need to scroll through the buffer in reverse mode because the progression's beginning is the oldest sound in the buffer. We have to start scrolling, let me say, at the far end of the buffer and then scroll backwards to the most actual part, what is the end of the chord progression. The mode has to be saw down, therefore. And one circle of scrolling through the buffer has to last 16 seconds to reproduce the speed of the original. So the modulation frequency has to be adjusted at 1/16 of a Hertz, which is 0.065 Hertz or approximately 0.06 Hertz. I switch the keyboard off again and increase the length of the grains even more to 800 milliseconds. The sound gets a touch of metallic. So back to 200 milliseconds again. I play around with the modulation frequency of delay. Remember, this is the speed at which CrusherX scrolls through the buffer. At least I change the modulation mode to spline and draw a random curve. Okay, let's do something else. With a quite long grain length, for example 2000 milliseconds, and an adequate modulation of delay, you can create nice soundscapes from basically simple sounds. And, of course, you can play around with them, engaging the MIDI keyboard. Let's go hunting for sounds now. I've bought some interesting looking bits and pieces on a local flea market. One is a stand for napkins, the other, well, I don't even know. I treat them with a drumstick and a fiddle stick and record the sound using a contact microphone normally used for playing a violin in a rock band. I cut the whole recordings into smaller pieces because they are longer than 60 seconds, and I want to load them into CrusherX into the buffer. I select some particular promising parts from the sound, cut them out and store them for more detailed sonic observations. Let me load one of them into CrusherX. With the delay slider and the wheel, I scroll through the gained sounds to find the best sounding small pieces of my sonic experiments. It needs a little bit of trying to find the best grain length and the best birth rate. I'm going to talk more about that matter in the next video. I don't want to extend this video even longer, so here are some of the sounds I discovered in the recordings of a napkin stand and goodness knows what it is. Enjoy it. Thank you for watching.